So this is a very interesting video in which we're going to review and compare the development of the face muscles using the sample exercise or performance or suction through a very thin tube. So originally it's designed as an exercise to improve the quality of the lips control, but at the same time for us it's interesting to see how it evolved through the usage of the gel and the ABR exercises, like the total development of the facial muscles and controls. So on the left we're seeing 21, on the right we're seeing the 22. So it's about a year in between. So let's have a look. So first of all, please note the big movements of the head, then the grip. So the grip is pretty good, right? But it's limited to the lips and maybe the lower part of the cheeks. And then you see the second attempt shows the retraction of the jaw. And now let's look at the new one. So the new one shows that instead of the big movements of the head, we see the specific forward movement of the head and very precise lip grip, right? And now you can see that the suction itself, instead of kind of pulling it with the head and sometimes losing it and then getting a short suction with the grip by the lower lip, now we can see very diverse action which has the repeat movements, repeat cycles with a very good involvement of the entire set of the cheek muscles. And instead of, you see, this is a very elegant one, how instead of the retraction of the jaw, this is the retraction of the jaw, we actually see the activation of the throat. So that's a very, very important thing. And it kind of tells us the secrets of swallowing, right? So you see, when the jaw is being retracted, so when trying to connect the lips causes the retraction of the jaw, that obviously makes the whole swallowing process more difficult, right? So, and what we were just looking as a good process, we were seeing the selective activation of the lips, which were able to close and open and have their own cycles, which then transfers through into the muscles of the face and so on. And then as the liquid comes in, the second phase kicks in. That's the work between the swallowing at the epiglottis, right, going to the esophagus, and the active function of the mouth floor. And you can see here that the primary line at which it works is this diagonal line. So that's a very, very important and informative transformation, because again, if you look at the picture of the completely healthy person, so this angle would be much more close, so you might not see much, right? So you see this transition is actually very, very important, because it also tells us this relationship between the suction and the movement of the jaw. So again, in this respect, we have to remember our other important nuance is that if the jaw is not very stable, or if the jaw is being used, recruited as the way to help additionally with the stability of the head, if the true stability through the nuchal ligament and the base is missing, so the person is then recruiting the jaw, right, and recruiting the jaw via the link at the hyoid bone and digastric muscle. So that's what you can see here, right? So you see, that's why the movement of the jaw and the movement of the head, they go together. So that's really, really informative illustration of how the evolution occurs through ABR. And of course you also see a lot more. This is a very elegant wave, right? You can see here a very elegant wave which obviously facilitates the activation of the cheeks, which we didn't see, and now we observe it. Yes, and once again, that brings us to this picture about the muscles of the face, where we have to remember that these are the two circles, this inner circle of the lips, the outer circle of the lips, the big circle of the cheeks, and again the inner circles of the cheeks. So they have to be activated separately as the control of their kind of chewing, swallowing, digestive processes. So that's where we really want to have this activity and the controls of everything inside the mouth, right? So you see we have these chambers. So that's the entry through the lips, the mouth chamber itself, and then the transition from the mouth chamber into the esophagus chamber. So all of them, they have to be integrated with the activity of the lips, and of course, quite obviously, they have to be free from the additional contributions towards the head stability, right? So because the head stability is the primary thing, if the head is not stable enough, like via the neck stabilization, then you have to recruit the jaw. So the recruitment of the jaw as the postural contribution to help with the neck then causes all sorts of troubles with the swallowing itself. So in that sense, we can see really a double improvement here. The double improvement, which works two ways. On the one hand, thanks to ABR, this boy has a lot more stable neck. So that's a kind of win number one. So with this win number one, that means that his jaw now and the whole digastric connection is no longer recruited to additionally stabilize the head. That's a win number one. And the win number two, that's the additional accentuation of the inner and the outer circle of the lips, and then, you know, another two circles within the cheeks and the zygomatic lines. So effectively, from kind of one mixed circle that we had before and kind of half accentuation of the cheek circles and nothing really going at the level of the zygomatics, we see the very clear evolution of those lines. And again, you also can notice that through this entire activity, what also happens, see, his eyes control has changed as well, right? So you see he really controls the eye position much more precisely. You can see additional adjustments, additional, you know, shifts of the gaze, which is occurring. So that's a very, very clear evolution. Again, you know, this is important to understand that even for the kids, you know, for the kids who are more severe, you know, you can't really show this so clearly because, you know, they might not be connecting so well, but as a principle of getting the win-win transition, win number two at the actual face and the win number one at the actual neck, or, you know, it could be the other way around. So with the face is a win number one and the head and the neck is a win number two. So you need this double win, and through this you see a significant improvement of suction and the face control, right? And you can also see the release itself is much smoother as opposed to this sudden drop. So that's another illustration of how much the ABR combination of physical, hands-on, manual, mechanical work and the ABR Fascia Gel helps with the total evolution. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that this helps in the understanding of those processes much better.